it's more of the same. There's no incentive to do well and better. When I say, I'm looking at it from the incentive mechanism. Winston, this country has accepted this poor performance and we reward it adequately. You know why I'm saying so?
Tell me.
There is a budgetary provision for state-owned enterprises in our national budgeting process, where annually an allocation is made to subsidize some of these state-owned enterprises from our tax revenue and all of that. In 2023, if you look at our national budget, you'll find that under the resource allocation framework, there is an item that we call other expenditure. This other expenditure covers energy sector levies and then transfers to meet energy sector shortfalls and other state-owned enterprises just to keep them afloat to some extent, apart from the revenue they generate from their core activities. This is what we have done. Then we also find a way of passing on these inefficiencies to consumers through levies and other instruments that the state, using its power, inflict on the vulnerable citizens. You see what we call ESLA, right?
Yes.
If you look at what went into ESLA and the inefficiencies and how we sought to recover that sector, and even more recently, the One Ghana Cedi levy on fuel, you remember, right?
Yeah.
So we are able to procure fuel and all of that to make sure that we have electricity and all of that. So if you look at the kind of incentive mechanism that we've put in place, really, there's very little motivation actually to do well because there are no punishment linked to that. And then also, really, nobody gets sacked. If you lift the veil, you realize that some of these state-owned enterprises have become the medium through which politicians reward political financiers and patronage and all of that. And therefore, our ability to elicit performance, efficiency from them is weakened from that perspective. If you look at what we call other expenditure from the budget provision, in 2023, we allocated 23.7 billion Ghana Cedi for that. In 2024, it went up to 27.7 billion Ghana Cedi. Guess what? In 2025, we allocated 33.6 billion Ghana Cedis. In fact, which was slightly higher than the budgetary provision for capital expenditure or capex. This is what we have been doing. If you look at the narrative underlining all of that, you will see why. In fact, and if you talk to some people, they will say that it's far better to be a CEO of some of these state-owned enterprises or a senior person in those organizations than actually being a sector minister, right?
Okay.
Because of the reward mechanism that goes with some of those offices and the less monitoring by citizens and the media, because sometimes the satellite is on the executive, the ministers and the rest of them, whilst they pass around with all kinds of expenditure and travels, which ultimately is loaded on the pocket of the taxpayer.